It's Tuesday, January 12. This is the news on PBCJ. I'm Simone Absalom Gale. Jamaicans should be able to drive on the new leg of Highway 2000 by October 2022. Speaking during a recent visit to one of the sites, Managing Director of National Road Operation and Construction Company, Ivan Anderson, says construction is 38% complete.
We have now cleared through the entire alignment. So the contractor is now clear in terms of land acquisition. We did more than 180 parcels of land were acquired. More than 60 houses were also acquired. We've relocated graves, which is a normal part of our operation. Relocated graves, compensated farmers for the crops that they had in the alignment. So right now the contractor is pushing through. So he has pushed through almost a full 28 kilometers.
The construction is part of the Southern Highway Coastal Project tagged at $12.9 billion. The new leg will link the Maypen-Clarendon leg with Williamsfield, Manchester. It also includes the development of highways between Harbourview, St. Andrew and Port Antonio in Portland. The Kingston and St. Andrew Municipal Corporation, KSAMC's main office on Church Street, is closed today, but its doors will be open tomorrow, January 13. The offices are being cleaned and sanitized after news emerged on Monday that a staff member tested positive for COVID-19. In a statement, the KSAMC says cleaning is being done to protect the public and staff of the corporation. Here are the latest COVID-19 figures from the health authorities.
2 more Jamaicans have succumbed to COVID-19. The latest deaths are a 69-year-old male from St. Ann and a 43-year-old female from St. Thomas. Total deaths now stand at 315. Over the last 24 hours, 123 new COVID-19 cases were also reported. The overall case count is 13,760, with 1,762 of those being active. In the parish breakdown, St. James led the way with 34 cases, followed by Kingston and St. Andrew with 21 and St. Ann with 16. Westmoreland reported 13 cases, St. Catherine has 12 and Trelawney 9. St. Mary has 6 and Hanover has 4. Clarendon, Portland and St. Thomas all posted 2 cases each, while both Manchester and St. Elizabeth returned 1 case. 20 more persons have recovered from the virus, with that overall tally standing at 11,526. At this time, there are 82 hospitalizations. 4 are moderately ill and 6 are critical. For the news on PBCJ, I'm Gabrielle Thompson.
The World Health Organization, WHO, says plans are being laid to address neglected tropical diseases. The organization says the plans will be published by the end of the month. The World Health Organization will formally launch its new roadmap for neglected tropical diseases on January 28, 2021. These include mycosis, scabies, and other pathogens and parasitic diseases. The move is being themed Ending the Neglect to Attain the Sustainable Development Goals, a roadmap for neglected tropical diseases 2021 to 2030. The new roadmap will come in the form of a high-level strategic document aimed at strengthening a pragmatic response to NTDs, neglected tropical diseases, those tropical infections which are common in low-income populations. The new roadmap focuses on how cross-sectoral, integrated interventions, smart investment, and community engagement can strengthen and sustain health systems. The virtual launch will showcase video clips and various shifts of the new roadmap, the 2030 targets, and potential challenges. As the new school term unfolds, educators continue to grapple with the ongoing pandemic and the constraints it has placed on learning. There is now a blended approach of online, face-to-face, and remote learning via broadcasts and using other resources. The Jamaica Teachers Association, JTA, has been touring schools island-wide to gauge the efficiency of the blended approach that some institutions have taken. Our reporter Melvin Pennant takes a look at the JTA's tours of schools in St. Thomas.
We caught up with the JTA president, Jasford Gabriel, while he led a tour at Paul Bogle High in St. Thomas.
We are on a tour in the parish of St. Thomas, visiting the schools that have been open face-to-face, Yalas, Seaford and Paul Bogle. And the experience has been quite revealing. One of the things I must mention first up is the extent to which the schools, working with their partners, have gone to ensure that the school plant is compliant. The provisions for the social distancing, the sanitization, temperature checks, the supervision of students, and so on. That has been very exceptional in all the schools that we have gone to, and so that has to be highly commended.
During the tour, the president spoke with students and asked them about online and face-to-face classes.
What are your thoughts on face-to-face?
Well, it is our best interest to be back here in school, to have a face-to-face class where things is much easier for us to learn, because the online classes kind of have a challenge with us. And most of us is not capable with the online classes, plus we are learning to adapt to it.
Can you tell us some of the challenges you have, specific challenges you have with online?
Alright, for us, most people, we have internet challenges. Most of us students don't have a device to assist us with our online learning, so we have to put a lot of work into it.
Okay, you seem to have a good idea. So how you think is the best way to treat with the students who are neither online nor are here for face-to-face? In other words, we have not seen them since March. I'm sure you have some of those students here at Fort Bogle. How you think is the best way to approach finding these students and getting them involved?
Well, you can get the students' parents' phone number from the school to get to their parents. And when you do that, you try to get to the students, plus you have to ask them what they have been doing from March, knowing that we have been out of school for a very long time. So now we have to try to catch up back on what we have missed out, plus for our students who have CXC.
Okay.
Melvin Pennant, PBCJ News.
There is an old saying that knowledge is power. In this quick business report, our reporter Gabriel Thompson puts you in the know with the latest market data.
In Tuesday's trading session, the JSE combined index declined by 451 points to close at under 400,000 units. Overall market activity resulted from trading in 85 stocks, of which 32 advanced, 40 declined, and 13 traded firm. The junior market index advanced by 19 points to close at under 3,000 units. Stocks advanced for 138 Students Living Jamaica, Blue Power Group Limited, and Cargo Handlers Limited. Stocks declined for 1834 Investments Limited, Barita Investments Limited, and Pbcj Jamaica. Trading firm were Caribbean Assurance Brokers Limited, Dermont Trading Company, and Epley Caribbean Property Fund Limited. 1834 Investments Limited was the volume leader with over 10 million units, followed by Pulse Investments Limited with 3.7 million units and Wigton Wind Farm Limited ordinary shares with 3.4 million units. Now for the foreign exchange. The US dollar on Monday, January 11 ended trading at $143.87. The Canadian dollar sold for an average $112.78. The pound sterling traded for $195.85, and the euro ended trading at $176.96. Oil hit an 11-month high towards $57 a barrel on Tuesday as tighter supply and expectations of a drop in U.S. inventories offset concerns over climbing coronavirus cases globally. Brent crude futures added 75 cents at $56.41 a barrel. West Texas Intermediate crude futures gained 86 cents at $53.11 a barrel. And that does it for this edition of the Business Report on PBCJ. I'm Gabrielle Thompson.
In regional news, thousands of students in St. Lucia made their way back to the physical classrooms with the start of the second term of the academic school year on Monday. In this report, we hear from some learning institutions to get a feel of the first day back in the wake of a raft of COVID-19 cases on the weekend.
In October 2020, one student of the Castries Comprehensive Secondary School tested positive for the coronavirus, sending shockwaves throughout the island. Health and education officials went into overdrive to contain any possible spread of the virus. Now, January 11th, 2021, Newsforce reached out to Principal of CCSS Marva Daniel, who gives us her outlook for the academic term. Daniel touts the blended approach to instruction that she says some parents have already taken into consideration.
We are taking full advantage of the opportunity to be at the school, to not just continue instruction, but to instill in our students the need for them to embrace the period that we are in. It's a very different period and by no means brought on to us by our own selves. And so we have to continue working with what is, keeping safe as much as possible.
Daniel notes the looming concerns and anxieties of parents, teachers, and key stakeholders within the education sector. However, she says the institution stands ready to work alongside parents who remain hesitant to send their children back to the physical plant.
We know that persons' concerns are very real. And we have some parents who have asked to do the total online. We are working with parents who have made that decision. It's going to be hard because they themselves have to work with us by coming in to collect whatever it is the children miss. But as much as possible, we're trying to marry all efforts to ensure that nobody is in the least disadvantaged by this unforeseen period of time in our lives.
Newsforce also touched base with principal of the St. Aloysius RC Boys Infant School, Winnikinage King, who expresses her excitement with the boys returning to physical classrooms. All systems are go for the island's education sector as physical plants are filled with the nation's students for the 2021 academic term. King says for the RC Boys Infant School, day one was a smooth transition for students, parents, and teachers.
Yes, there are some of them who have expressed concerns, but like we told parents since last week, we have done everything to make sure that we have followed the protocol set out by the ministry to ensure that we have a safe environment for the children and for the teachers.
What of the eventuality of a break in continuity of physical classes? Is the school system ready?
We did it wonderfully the last 2 times it happened. And I pray to God that it doesn't get back to that because we really love having our boys there. But if it comes to that, if the ministry states that this is what we have to do, we are prepared. We are prepared to do all that we have to ensure that we reach as many. I'm not going to say we can reach all our students because there are a few that we did not reach. But we'll do everything we can to make sure we reach all our students.
Moreover, the acting principal of the St. Aloysius RC Boys Primary School, Sister Elizabeth Japanel, points to the shared responsibility of community to ensure there are no disruptions in the opening of school in 2021.
We are quite happy to be back this morning. There is a little bit of anxiety on the part of parents and staff as well, and rightfully so, because we know of the increase in the number of cases. But I think we have to try to manage as best as we can. And we have to do all that, we can do, all that is within our power as a school to do. But I have to say that it has to take a community effort here, because we will follow the protocols as best as we can at the school. We ensure that the students, they wash their hands, they wear the mask, they respect the social distancing in and outside of the classroom. So that's going to help us here, but we have to ensure as well when they go home, when they are on the buses, when they are at their homes, in the communities as well. So I think it takes the entire community has to come together to ensure that we have a safe return and that we have a long one as well.
The much talked about return to physical plants went off without a hitch from all indications. However, education officials are treading lightly as they welcome students back to school. Principals, though cautious, remain positive for a fruitful academic term. From inside the Castries Comprehensive Secondary School, Solange Alfred, HTS News Force.
3 prison officers in Barbados are in the process of filing 2 separate lawsuits against their government over COVID-19 related issues. More from Barbados today.
The men were named during the COVID-19 update that also featured Prime Minister Mayor Mortley and Attorney General Dale Marshall. This came on the heels of several prison officers testing positive for the virus, resulting in all persons, prison officers, prisoners, and the civilian staff being tested by the Ministry of Health and Wellness. The positive tests were linked to a Boxing Day bus crawl and events at 2 bars on the West Coast, which are now being described by health authorities as a super spreader of the virus. When contacted Monday evening, Home Affairs Minister Wilfred Erbums said he knew nothing about any pending legal action, but promised that if in fact there was one, the government would respond accordingly. But in a strong defense of the prison officers, Senator Franklin claimed that the 3 had already tested negative and were in quarantine at home at the time of the broadcast, and that the prison authorities knew it. Franklin said that in the circumstances, the public calling out of the officers had caused them pain and suffering and defamation of character. The opposition senator said the second lawsuit will be lodged this week if the government did not release the 3 officers by today, Tuesday. He said the men who were relocated from home quarantine to a Southcoast hotel established for that purpose had already received their 2 negative test results, and there was therefore no justified reason to keep them locked up in a hotel. Franklin told Barbados today lawyers for the 3 prison officers will be filing an habeas corpus action asking the court to order their release. But the Home Affairs Minister rebuffed the claims as he sought to shed light on the continued quarantine of the prison officers.
All of the prison officers going into quarantine were tested upon entering quarantine. We are awaiting, and all of those in quarantine were given a second test, the results of which we are awaiting. I am not aware that anyone has received their results of their second test while in quarantine.
Home Affairs Minister Wilfred Erbums, Emmanuel Joseph for Barbados Today.
The Yacht Services Association of Trinidad and Tobago is pleading with the government to allow for the international yacht arrivals. In a media release, it said since the beginning of the pandemic and border closures, the yacht service industries has been largely shut down. Mahalia Johnson-Wharton spoke to President of the association, Peter Peake, who said many families have been negatively affected.
President of the Yacht Services Association of Trinidad and Tobago, Peter Peake, said while they understand the severity of the virus, they still believe the industry can be reopened with COVID-19 guidelines in place, as among the yachting community in the Caribbean there have been no reported cases of COVID-19 or transmission, and the same holds for the yachting community globally.
There is a system that is workable and has been workable for hundreds of years. So why is it that we refuse to take it up? Why is it that we must have people suffering and not gaining their employment?
The association in their release said the jobs and variety of services provided by their yacht service workers in Trinidad cannot be found anywhere else in the Caribbean.
And we don't know what is going to become of us. We're all on the brink of destruction here. You know, so I'm sorry if I'm a little passionate about this, but it has been 9 months. And people have been very, very patient. But we need answers. And our customers now abusing us and accusing us of the worst things and trying to set up Facebook pages to prevent people from ever coming here in the future.
He said the situation is disheartening.
It shakes my soul. I mean, I've been working in the industry for 25 years. And so many people working in the industry with me have been here for 25 years. Independent operators, small guys doing little jobs. But they've been mining their family with this industry for 25 years.
The association has written to the Ministers of National Security, Health and Trade and Industry requesting any assistance for the travel exemptions to yacht service customers or any possible travel exemptions for the facilitation for cruisers needing to return to Trinidad. It said in spite of support from the Ministry of Trade and Industry, no facilitation or exemptions have been granted to date for the entry of foreign customers to the industry. The Minister of National Security, Stuart Young, has stated on numerous occasions that the government continues to be guided by expert public health advice as it pertains to the reopening of the borders. He also stated that government's repatriation response to the COVID-19 pandemic is fair and driven by public health and science. Mahalia Joseph Wharton, TTT News.
In sports, we turn the spotlight on cricket. West Indies Test and One-Day International ODI team will be subjected to a robust COVID-19 testing regime when they arrive in Bangladesh on Sunday. The Windies will embark on a 5-week series, becoming the first international side to tour Bangladesh since the outbreak of the COVID-19 pandemic. The Caribbean side is scheduled to face hosts in 3 ODIs and 2 tests from January 20 to February 15, but will be without 10 first-choice players who declined selection because of fears over the virus in the country. West Indies are expected to be tested on arrival and again after 3 days of isolation in their hotel rooms. Once the tests return negative, players will be allowed to begin training. In other news, Tokyo Olympic organizers have downplayed a poll showing plunging support for the Games on Tuesday and said a report claiming cancellation could be discussed next month was fake news. The postponed Games is expected to start in July. In a New Year's address, the staff Tokyo 2020 CEO Toshiro Muto put a positive spin on the Kyodo News poll published Sunday, showing 45% want the 2020 Games delayed again, with 35% favoring outright cancellation. Muto also dismissed as fake news a Japanese media report claiming the International Olympic Committee and Tokyo 2020 organizers would debate the fate of the Games in February. And that's the news on PBCJ. Thank you so much for watching.